Imagine waking up one morning, everything seems normal, and then you learn that your home is being foreclosed on because of this. No, not the actual zombie. I'm talking about zombie mortgages. They are coming back to haunt homeowners, and in some cases, they're actually taking people's homes.
We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you.
I'm going to talk about this latest issue that is coming up today and scaring many homeowners. I'm going to talk about an investigation that was done by NPR that exposed a lot about these foreclosures that are happening on these zombie mortgages. I'm also going to share with you a few stories about some homeowners that this actually happened to, where they were foreclosed on these zombie mortgages. And I'm going to tell you what you need to do if you find yourself in this situation and how to get yourself out of it. So let's get started. Let's start off with this definition of a zombie mortgage. You're probably all thinking to yourself, what the heck is that? So this was a thing back in the years of 2006 to 2008. The term refers primarily to these piggyback loans that were issued prior to 2008, but it could also refer to any old mortgage that wasn't paid off during its term, and it has been dormant for several years without any communication from the lender. Now, a piggyback mortgage, that was also known as an 80-20 mortgage, that was a thing back then. And what it was, it allowed a person to be able to finance a home 100%. Yep. So the primary loan would be 80% of the purchase price, and the remaining would be this second loan of the 20%. If the homeowner fell behind on that second mortgage, the 20%, and they were still making payments on the larger loan, the 80% loan, they could still foreclose on that home if that piggyback loan was not paid for. So when the Great Recession hit, home values tanked and homeowners could no longer pay off these mortgages. Some lenders wrote off these second mortgages, these zombie mortgages, as bad debt, or they sold them to debt collectors or other lenders for pennies on the dollar because they were pretty much worthless. And then there were some cases where lenders just stopped sending notifications to the homeowners about these second loans. They just let them go, never told them that they had to pay them. Now, some homeowners, as a result, assumed that those second loans were just written off, and they basically forgot about them. So the mortgages, for all intents and purposes, were basically dead. So now we fast forward to the pandemic in 2020, and home values were on the up again. And we know how high home values have gone up over the last 4 years. Now, some of those lenders and debt collectors who bought those bad loans from many years ago, they're now reviving them and contacting those homeowners to try and collect on them. Many are saying that what these debt collectors are doing is pretty much illegal. They should not be doing this, going after these homeowners and then trying to foreclose on their homes too. So NPR did an investigation over the last 2 years. They found in New York alone, there were 10,000 old second mortgages that had foreclosure activity on them. All of these loans were originated back in the years of 2004 to 2008. And it wasn't just only in New York, it's pretty widespread. They also found that in Maryland, there were 500 zombie mortgages that were unpaid, and debt collectors were trying to recoup their money on those loans. So what they're trying to do is, now that the home values are up, homes are worth more, they're going to try and foreclose on these homes to recoup that debt and even get more. There are some cases where those loans weren't, they weren't that much money, but because of the interest and fees, they're almost double from what the original loan was. So this is like some predatory stuff that's going on here. I have a few stories to share with you of where people were actually foreclosed on because of these zombie mortgages. In Carson, California, there was a couple that had this zombie loan. They bought their house in 2007. Now, when the crash happened, they were told by their lender that that second loan was going to be charged off. They didn't have to pay anything on it. That was done. Now, after some time goes by, they get notified from a different company. So that loan got sold off to another lender or debt collector. So they reached out to this couple and they said they want their money back on that loan. And she went back and said to them, no, the original lender told us we did not owe this money and that it was forgiven. It was charged off. They then responded and said, oh, you're right. This debt has been charged off. You are no longer responsible for it. And then we'll update your credit. Okay, great. So now fast forward a few more months, that loan showed up again under a different company. And now they're saying that they owed $139,000 and they filed a claim against her property. They're going to foreclose on it. What? And once that happened, she got a notice of default. And now she's got real estate agents calling her left and right, asking her if she wants to sell her home because her home is in pre foreclosure. Oh my gosh. So now that they notified this couple that they're in default, they can start a foreclosure proceeding. So I don't know what's going on currently with these people, but I think they're still in the process of trying to like work with this other lender, or they've hired an attorney to try and get out of this. But this is one example of what's happening with these zombie mortgages just resurfacing out of nowhere. I just wanted to take a quick second to let you know that if you are in need of a real estate agent in your part of the country and you can't find one, click the link down below in the description box, fill out the form, and I will get back to you within 24 hours. I'm connected to tons of agents around this country, and I would be happy to help get you connected to one in your market. Now let's talk about this woman, Karen McDonough, who's in Quincy, Massachusetts. She bought her house in 2005, did the same thing. She got that 80/20 loan, and she even admits, she said it was the easiest thing to get. She just filled out an application, was approved immediately. Oh my gosh. I still can't believe that happened. But anyway, I digress. So after a couple of years, when the interest rates had risen, her mortgage payments jumped up by $700. So she went back to the bank and said, hey, I need to modify this loan. Can't afford this payment. Okay, great. So she modifies the first mortgage, the 80%. They told her the zombie loan, the piggyback loan, the 20% would be forgiven. No, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay anything on that anymore. Good. Good deal, right? No. Now, fast forward to 2020, Ms. McDonough starts receiving letters in the mail from a company she never heard of, which is called First American National. This letter was telling her that she owed them money. Then the amount that she owed was $77,000. This is the amount of that second mortgage that she had taken out. She ended up contacting the lender who held the first mortgage at 80%, saying she's being contacted by this company saying she owes that $77,000. Never heard of them before. The lender told her it's probably a scam, because we know how scams are happening these days. They said, it's probably a scam. Ignore it. Don't take their calls. Ignore the letters, which is what she did, because, she didn't know. She was told by that first bank that she didn't have to pay that second loan. Okay, so she ignores it. Fine. Then one day she gets up early in the morning and she looks out her window only to see about 20 cars parked on her street in front of her house. And she sees all these people walking towards her home, and she's thinking, what the heck is going on? She goes outside to be greeted by a gentleman who tells her that your home is being foreclosed on. You're going to lose it. So they were holding a foreclosure auction that day. In the end, First American National, the company who was harassing her, trying to collect on that debt, they ended up buying the house. Ready for this? For $178,000. The house is worth $600,000. Now, fortunately, she is still living in the home because she filed a lawsuit against this company, alleging that they used unfair and deceptive practices to foreclose on her home. Her lawyers are pretty confident that this company had systemically broken the law here. So I hope for her, in her case, she does get to keep her house, because that's just absolutely disgusting what they did to her. I mean, can you imagine just waking up, there's a foreclosure auction taking up place in your front lawn, and you had no idea about it? So these are just a couple of examples of people who actually are losing their homes because of these foreclosures on these zombie mortgages. Now, what can you do if you have a zombie mortgage and then you're getting these notices, right? If you receive a collection notice on a loan that you believe was satisfied, it was paid off, don't panic. The first thing that you need to do is to get more information from that company, from that creditor. You need more details about that debt. You want to know the amount and who you actually owe that money to. They are required by law to put that information in writing. Now, if you know that mortgage is paid off, it was satisfied, you have to provide proof of that. So you got to get copies of all the relevant documents, such as the deed of reconveyance, which shows you satisfied the debt, and send the copies to that lender or collection agency to show proof that, yes, you did satisfy this loan. Now, you may also want to consult an attorney to have them look into this, to also find out what the state laws are and if there's any statute of limitations. Make sure you get a lawyer that is really familiar with the local and state laws to help you determine what financial responsibility you may have. Now, fortunately, in Virginia, they're trying to pass a law to stop these foreclosures on these zombie mortgages, where these predatory lenders and debt collectors, they need to provide proof that they've been trying to collect on this debt. not just send a random notice like, a couple of times and a couple of phone calls and then decide, okay, we're going to foreclose. So, bottom line, they just have to provide evidence that they've been sending bills and those bills have not been paid. I appreciate that Virginia is trying to take the necessary steps to stop this predatory practice on these people who were told many years ago that these loans were forgiven or going to be charged off, and now only to find them being resurrected. And now these people are trying to collect on them. It's so wrong. It is so, so wrong. Hopefully, other states will follow suit and maybe these zombie mortgages can just go off and die somewhere. Hey, did you know that HOAs can actually foreclose on one's home? Oh, yes, they can. Do you want to learn about it? I got a video about it right here. I highly recommend you check it out. Thank you so much for watching me today. To get your dose of real estate reality, my name is Jackie Baker, and I will see you next time.